Hello, sisters. Thank you for being here at another Red 10 event. And today is an interesting one, and I kind of broke it down right before this recording, but this one was asked of me. This was not a planned event, and it was particularly people that were interested in what is womb healing and how they can add it into their coaching practices or tantric practices already for themselves and for their clients. So this is going to be what the breakdown is about, and I'll break down a little more. But before I go into the program and what is womb healing and stuff, can I click this? There you go. I'm going to go into who I am first and why I was practically chosen to do this and how I came to be. And for me, it started like most women when I first got my menstrual cycle, right? And at 14 years old, I was in the middle of running, I think it was like 5 mile race that I was doing. And in the middle of this 5 mile race, I was like, what is this flow that's coming out of me, like in the middle of my run? And I ended up like, okay, something's happening. I haven't felt this and I'm feeling a little crampy. So I'm going to end early. And I got out and I went to my PE teacher and he was like, you were on the run, like you were second, you could have totally won, like what happened? And I was like, I think I just got my period, but I don't want to check in front of all these people. So I need to go to the bathroom. And he was like, oh, like his face was like, oh, like this is new territory for me. Just go, 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 go. And he was like kind of like shushy about it, like just go, go, go. So that was my first experience. And from then on, I had like an irregular menstrual cycle. And because I didn't know at the time, but it's totally normal for teenagers for the first year or two to have an irregular menstrual cycle. My doctor didn't tell me that. Instead, he was like, here's birth control pills. Okay, thank you so much for telling me all the side effects that could possibly come in the testosterone and the decreasing of my clitoris and my pleasure zones and all the other information. Thank you so much for giving me all of that. Didn't happen. So I ended up on birth control for like 6 or 7 years. And when I started to learn about what was actually going on with women and how testosterone increases every single year and all these different side effects from birth control pills, how women with birth control pills tend to get PCOS or fibroids or endometriosis, I was like, gotta get off this thing. And I tried it once and I got an irregular period again. I was like, what is happening? That's a sign of something. So I was doing all this homework. I started doing some womb healings. I started getting into menstrual cycle coaching, and that's what I ended up becoming, and getting into divine femininity. And throughout that process, the next time I got off birth control, it was easy. For the first time in my life, when I think I was 20 or 21, I ended up having a regular cycle, and I've never gone back ever since. I've had a regular cycle, barely any cramps, if any. Like I tend to have zero. This past one was amazing. I had energy throughout it. And now I help other women do the same thing. And throughout that period of my healing, I ended up like women were coming to me that I was coaching, and they were like, oh, like I was raped at 3 years old, or my uncle touched me, or I had an abortion, I had a miscarriage, I had a stillborn. I started having all these women come up to me that had these traumatic events happen to them. And the more that I connected, the more that I did this work, the more that I was like, that is just sitting in your womb space, and people don't know how to eliminate it from there. And I'm like getting chills because this is like on how many women secretly have told me of these things that they don't share with other people, and that they happily opened up to me, and their evolution, how they changed from then on, was beautiful. So I have one of my clients gave me this testimonial for this, and I'd love for somebody to read it if anybody would be interested in reading this for me out loud.
Yeah, I'll do it for you.
Thank you.
I have been dealing with womb pain for over 6 years now, and the pain became unbearable 4 months ago. To add to my body issues, I knew I also had pelvic floor instabilities and significant abdominal separation after my last childbirth 3 years ago. When I saw my doctor, my news 3 months ago was that my body was moving towards collapsing the pelvic floor now. I allowed the universe to assist in bringing me some key players for support, and Jaslyn was the one that appeared. Twice now, I am wishing I had surrendered the first time. My session with Jaslyn addressed some of the hidden stories in my womb where we began to release those from my body. She worked on some of the extremely painful locations that had been there for years. I got such powerful releases. I am currently pain-free in my womb since our experience. Now I am blessed she is taking me on to teach me all her knowledge of the womb. If you haven't taken time to speak with her about your womb, what are you waiting for? Jaslyn.
Thanks. So she's a sister in the red tent, and she told me about the first time and she didn't actually continue. And I don't ever push people. Like, this is your opportunity for healing. It's not about me. And that's it for me. So the second time it was just it was an in-person, and I was at the event and she's like, I'm focusing, my intention is to heal my womb tonight. I was like, do you know who's here? I got you, girl. So we had a beautiful experience, and then she became my client, and it took 4 months, and she went from like her period completely missing and or like being there for months, like constantly bleeding, to now she has a regular period in 4 months. And it's so beautiful to watch. And I'm not saying that I have this kind of result with everybody, but this was one of those beautiful cases where she was willing to do the work. She went deep with me very quickly. She like did what she could to work with me every single week, and we handled it. So that was an amazing. And she also was on IUD, and she got off it. And normally there's many detoxes that need to happen to not have any side effects. She did all of it. She rocked it, and she hasn't had any side effects. If anything, she has felt more amazing than she has all her life. So I'm really happy that I was able to support with that. And I want to be clear that one of the big things that I talk about when it comes to like being a womb healer certified or facilitator is that I'm a facilitator. The womb healer, I'm going to skip a little ahead really quickly to show you. Nope. Hold on. This is my first time trying this out with. Okay, now I'm going ahead and you're just going to get all the information. But so a womb healer in general is everybody. Everybody is a womb healer. We are all healers of our own womb, healers of our ancestors, healers of everybody around us if you wanted to. But this, what I consider myself, is a womb shaman or a womb facilitator even, because I focus on allowing them to have the power. And I just have these different practices that I can guide them through, meditational practices or different types of ways to touch themselves to release emotions and feelings and somatic behavior. So just want to create clarity on that. We're all womb healers and we all have this possibility. So now that I did that, I know that some other people have had the opportunity to experience womb healing with me, even in small amounts. So if anybody would like to share, I'll also open the floor for that. And at the same time, I will open the floor for anybody that wants to talk about, like, what do you know? Like, what is considered to a womb that needs healing? Like, there's trauma in the womb. What is that to you? What kind of trauma do you know can be held in the womb? And then what is considered to you a divine, totally connected, awakened, creative, sexually abundant womb space? Do you know the difference? And if you do, or if you have an idea, I'd like to hear it from you girls.
I'll go. I don't know much about womb healing specifically, but I do know that with my own personal tantra practice, I'm almost always having to bring myself back to this place where I can feel full pleasure, full flow, and where I can actually flow with my hormonal adjustments throughout the month. But it takes so much conscious effort to do that, that if I'm slacking in the practices at all, then I revert right back to not feeling as much pleasure. I can feel myself like fighting the hormonal changes I'm going throughout the month, where I'm forcing myself to have energy when I don't have energy. So I feel so much more imbalanced in everything that I do in my life in those times where I'm keeping that conscious effort. And since I don't have a lot of experience with exactly what womb healing is, I feel like, just from what little has been said, that this is the exact route that I need to go down when it comes to all the things going on. So that's for me what it looks like with womb healing and not womb healing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I can go and share my experience with working with Jaslyn. We've been working together for months now, and I've had some pretty amazing things. So first of all, I was dealing with, and I do tend to deal with quite what I would consider an enormous amount of pain for various reasons. And so Jaslyn taught me several different ways of managing that and using my womb space to actually pull that pain into that space and then release that, which has been an absolute game changer. But then we've also had some really cool experiences where we've gone into my womb space, and I've been in the cosmic womb. We've gone into my womb space to find out what goddess is working with me in the priestessing program that we just finished together. And I had Odin appear, not a goddess, right? But he was very up and had a whole interaction with him while I was in my womb space. It was so incredible. And there's been a lot of other experiences. We've just started doing work where I'm finding space that I've been holding in my womb for other people, and then meeting those people and getting to decide whether or not I want to still hold space for them there. And if not, allowing them to release or telling them to get out. And if I do want them to, if I still want to hold space for them, allowing that to happen. And so this will be, I'm really excited about this because by releasing them, it frees up space for something else. So then we've been working on pulling in some very specific things to manifest. So it's really exciting. It's a real game changer.
Thanks, Lisa. Oh, my heart's fluttering just hearing all the differences that I've been able to help with you. Thank you. Oh, and there's still so much more that we get to go through. It's amazing. Oh, okay. Anybody else want to talk before I move on to the next slide? Just checking in. Okay, cool. Just check, allowing everybody to talk and do whatever they'd like. Okay, so
I'm driving, but I'd love to just chime in quick.
Go ahead. I'll keep this page up so people can read what you talk.
Cool. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to affirm what I heard. I'm driving, so the call dropped. But yeah, it's been really interesting since the conversation opened up. I've had a handful of people mention the womb space. And so it was confirmation for me, like, oh, that's neat. So much so that even in classrooms that I'm teaching, it's a conversation with the little kids. And I'm like, what? Like, it's a big thing now. And it always was there. It's just, I think there wasn't this awareness and how powerful that whole area is. So I'm really honored and grateful that this is happening and that I get to partake. And I'm grateful to you, Jaslyn, for opening that door for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Yay. Oh my God, with kids, that makes me so happy. I just, my husband and I like watching comedians, and there was this guy that's like, I have a daughter. She just turned 13. She got her first period, and she's like, Dad, we need to have a period party. And like, he's talking about this on the comedy show. And I was like, oh my God, like this is happening. Like this is life right now. Like seeing it come out and people sharing about it and teenagers knowing about period parties. Makes me so happy. Anyway. So I put this beautiful thing. Thank you, Regina. I put this little piece of thing here. So the womb that needs some help, a little help, and then this beautiful womb that has like this flower crown going on, and giving you an idea of what people might be feeling. Maybe a new person coming in, what someone might be feeling or going through when their womb needs support, and then also what their womb looks like at fully in divine bliss at the end of the day. So some examples, you've heard some already, but it could be a mix of there being too much in the womb, or I haven't really met anyone that hasn't done womb healing and has too little things going on in the womb. It tends to be there's too much going on. So over emotional, over responsive, over rational. It could be a mix of not wanting or like never wanting sex, or wanting too much sex and you can barely think of something else. People that are like just have no creativity within them or too much creativity. They're not sticking to one thing. People that have PCOS, PMS, acne, fibroids, hormonal imbalances, infertility, too many like big shifts between like the different phases of your menstrual cycles or even your moon cycle phases. These are all some examples, and there will be more that I will be giving in future slides. And a divine womb, at the end of the day, is like to be divine feminine. You gotta have a divine womb because it's literally the womb space is the center of the feminine energy, is the center of every female being that's on this planet. And even for men, even though they have a spiritual womb, which I'll get to that at some point, but we have a spiritual womb, we have a physical womb, and for us, it's physical, it's right there. So it holds a lot, especially spiritual stuff. And if we can release it, so I'm gonna quickly stop sharing. And Lisa loves it when I talk about this one. So this is my water bottle that I drink water from every single day. And the way that I explain the womb in a very clear state is, imagine if this bottle, hold on, I have like this little blur going on, and that's gonna, if I can take it off, there you go. So this bottle, pretend like it is your womb space, right? You know when people say, like if you don't share your emotions, you're bottling it up. You ever heard that? Can I get some nods? Okay. So where are you bottling those emotions up? Ever wondered? Well, it's in the womb. It's in the womb space. That's where you're bottling it up. And the thing is that if you don't share those emotions, if those things never come out, if you keep holding in those traumas or holding in that anger or holding in your wants and dreams, then what tends to happen is there's too much water going on, and it's practically going to explode and end up in different areas in your body. So uterine cancer or PMS or PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids, this tends to be just the beginning for people before other things start showing up in the body. And that's how you know that there's too much in here and we need to dump it out. We need to release it. Does that make sense to everybody? Is this creating clarity? All right, cool. Now, the other thing that also is level 1 is going to be a lot of learning different types of releases and when to release, how to check in, when to release, and so on and so forth. And then there will be like different levels to hopefully this womb healing program that is being created. But another thing that I will be going through is, imagine if you have tea and you ever drink tea and then like if you leave it in there for too long, it like creates like this muckiness at the corner of the cup, even with coffee and things like that. Well, we're also not just going to dump it out, but we're going to grab a sponge and we're going to really go in there. Okay. Now, when you do this in a spiritual way, what tends to happen is memories and flashes and these releases are asking to be released. So those might be experienced throughout this program for yourself. And then hopefully I'll be answering questions along the way and each of you will hopefully have a support sister throughout it. Bless you. So that you can also be able to experience giving each other womb healings along the way. So I will do a practice online. I'll give you a second practice that's going to be written down, hopefully, most likely, or you can do the first one or do an intuitive one. This is like this is whatever you want it to be. Okay. And then you girls can practice with each other and let me know how that goes. So that is the goal. We'll be releasing. We're going to be grabbing a sponge. We're going to be really going deep in there and making sure every little piece is cleaned. When this is fully empty, so I have two little things right here. My two little womb bowls. When it's full, let's pretend that there's water in it. So I got little water droplets on my little womb bowl here, right? And it starts filling and it starts overflowing. We're going to learn how to release it. And then after it's fully empty, then a fire is created in your womb space. And this is what I call the orange flame, which is the orange energy chakra, the orange chakra within our body, the sacral chakra, that creates this fire where that's where the creativity and the sexual energy of that divine feminine energy can be released. This is where that tantric work makes a lot of sense with womb healing, huh? Like it's really hard to fully get somebody there unless that womb healing has been created. So these are my little, let me put them back into my little altar space. And then of course I have this is my grandmother to bring in that ancestral energy. And this is my mom and I both share this. So I bring that into my womb energy and help heal them along the way as well. So anybody have any questions on my little explanation of what womb healing is in a little bodily form? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get back in here. Boop. Nope. Okay. So different things that our womb space can hold on to. Trauma has already been mentioned, and that could be sexual, emotional, physical, mental, anything, you know, like someone might say something to you at a single moment and it just stays with you and you just hold that thing in and it changes the way that you think. All of those are in there. And while a womb healing is happening, they'll be like, oh my God, this happened 15 years ago. I can't even believe that that's still in there for me. And I'm like, yeah, it's still there. Did you release it the first time? No? Okay, cool. So a lot tends to be in there. Past wounds. Let's see what else I have in here. The interesting thing about the womb space is, let's talk about our men real quick. Men have a spiritual womb called the hara, but they don't have a physical womb. So what tends to happen with our husbands, our brothers, our fathers, our boyfriends, any lovers that we have, even the lovers that we had 20 years ago, can still be holding a space, which is what Lisa was talking about, in our womb. Any family members, close friends, best friends, past lovers, ancestors, past life versions of us can have a space in our womb, especially our old sexual partners, and especially men. Why? Because they don't have a physical womb, and it's kind of like the body is asking for it. So that's why are men the chasers of women? This is one of those reasons, because they miss being in the womb. They miss having a womb because it helps them so much to release. Why do men have difficulties? It's showing emotion and all these different things. It all goes back to having a womb or not having a womb. So these are different types of examples. What else do I have here? Shame, fear, anger, empathy. Any person that has an empathic connection to, or any person that you can, like, if you feel someone's empathy, a lot of times you're helping process that energy within your womb. And a lot of people that have like empathic powers, but it's too much for them, they don't know how, they take in the energy into their womb, but they don't know how to release it. So if you've ever felt that, like, this is too much for me, like maybe you enter a room and you're like, there's too much energy in here, like I gotta go, like I can't do this. That's if you learn how to release, then you can also let it go through you, and you don't have to take in that energy as yourself. You know that it's not yours and you can release it. Okay, so these are different ways past wounds and traumas show up as. If you don't release these things that are held within the womb, these are different ways that it can show up in your life, whether it's stress and depression, infertility, miscarriage, cramps, different cysts, fibroids, cancer, a lack of clarity, a direction, no drive, not knowing what your purpose is, a feeling of wanting to go home, or like something's missing in your life, unhealthy boundaries, attracting toxic relationships, or not even being able to find the love of your life, or having constant karmic cycles. All of these are different things that happen because of these different things that we're holding in our womb that we're not releasing. So womb healing and awakening. A way to release the past wounds, traumas, and old patterns. This is, I think I've kind of explained this a good amount. So anybody confused at this point what womb healing is, or is everybody clear at this point? Can you give me like thumbs ups, or feel free to speak up? They're like, haven't understood a word you're saying. Okay. All right, so I think we're good here. A healed womb. So I kind of explained this a little bit, but like, I'm just gonna like let this on the screen for a little bit so you can see all the different things that can happen. Breaking old patterns is a big one, and like not allowing the ancestry things that have been coming up, or your own trauma, to show up to our future and to the world, the new earth that we are all creating, or especially to our children, is extremely important. Heightened pleasure for my tantric girls. Releasing the womb and having that fire, that creativity, that sexuality, there's going to be all kinds of yummy pleasure that automatically gets created. And funny, I actually taught my husband, who he's a guy, but I still taught him how to do womb healings with his spiritual womb. And like it was so funny because a lot of my clients after their first womb healing, they like come out of it and they're like, I need to pee so bad. Like I didn't need to pee when I came in, but when I came out, I really have to pee. I'm like, go pee. That's your body releasing that energy. That's amazing. And so my husband experienced in that. And he was like, that was the best pee of my life. It was like an orgasmic pee. And I was like, honey, that was my first time ever giving a man a womb healing. So it was really cool to witness. And like, he's always like, that's so weird. Like the whole womb healing thing, like it's too much for me. And the first time he did it, I made it easy on him and he had such a good experience. So I wanted to share that. I thought it was really funny. So as Lisa mentioned, you can also connect to goddesses, gods, ancestries, past lives. It's not just a womb healing, but this is where like a womb shaman comes in. The womb could be a portal to other realms. And we're going to be careful. Like I'll teach you girls how to be careful in where to go. You don't want them to go into ghost land. You want them to go into a higher realm. And I can guide you in that. And even connecting to, I'm going to go into a little bit of that masterclass that I mentioned to you, Cassandra, which is one of the things that I love about the womb. If you didn't know, you're about to know that every galaxy is created by a black hole. Did you girls know that? Every galaxy is created by a black hole. So black holes don't just suck everything in, which is another beautiful factor that our vaginas have, or the entering spot of our womb space where everybody wants to come into. But as we know, our womb also births things, and so does the black hole. Dun, 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 as above, so below moments, because everything gets spit out in a second, and then we spend billions of years all slowly coming back into that same black hole. So the black hole is what I consider like the black hole of the Milky Way. I forgot the name right now, but normally I'm pretty good with remembering her name. She actually has a scientific name. I think it's something like Sagittarius or something. And she is what's considered our cosmic womb. So a lot of times I will take people, when people are missing that womb space, like their mother's womb or even Mother Earth's womb as an example, I'll take them into that loving cosmic womb energy and they will feel the most bliss and love and just like back into that innocent form again, that light form once again. So it doesn't have to be just constant releasing and traumatic work. It could be extremely loving, blissful, even pleasurable work. And like a lot of times I'll do some yoni healing work too. So like it's very connected, but I am putting yoni healing as like an add-on in the future. I'm not bringing that much into this practice because that's like a whole other possibility. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Sagittarius A. I was close. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you very much. Sagittarius A is the black hole of the Milky Way's name. So thank you, Claudia. All right, so this is what I was talking about earlier. So the womb. We've talked a lot about what womb healing is. I've explained a little bit about womb awakening and womb bliss for that matter. So what is the definition of womb? When you look it up, it says our creative and sexual energy, the center of the divine feminine, the center of our female bodies. And in the definition books, it'll say a place where something is generated or brought into existence. So all of our emotions, our trauma, all of that is being put into the womb and is being generated in some form. Think about soil. If anybody's a gardener or knows anything about seasons, you'll know that there's a seed and then it sprouts, then it becomes a flower at some point, and then it releases, and then it decomposes. Everything in life everything that is not man-made, I should say, decomposes. And that decomposition part is that generation part too. You're turning something into something else. And our womb knows how to do that. Now, by like any machine that is man-made, if you put something through it too much, it's too much to handle, it'll clog it up, right? There will be that yucky goo and the wheels will stop working. So that's where the womb healing comes in, and we start tinkering practically in the womb space and figuring out what's happening. Where did the machine stop working in this part. And then when we find that, we can start to generate again, right? And brought into existence, continue to bring different things into existence. So one of the things that Lisa mentioned is that there's a womb healing practice that's similar to a cord cutting. But the difference between a cord cutting and a cord cutting womb healing practice is a cord cutting, you just cut the cord and goodbye, that's it, you're good to go. For in a womb healing space, when you cut that cord and you release that person if you'd like to, or that cord, there's something, if you don't fill up that space, something else will be created unconsciously. So one of the important things to do in womb healings is also womb awakenings, which is bringing in a new energy into that space consciously. And that's something, it's a practice that has been going on for thousands of years that have been just not shared with daughters anymore. It got lost practically during the Salem witch trials, where all the Book of Shadows were gone and we were killed for practically knowing this kind of information, but never mind that. That's another masterclass. So that's what womb healing is. And then a healer in general is one that heals or attempts to heal, especially a faith healer, to restore to original purity or integrity, to make free from injury or disease, or to make sound or whole. So I don't personally like call it, like when I say a womb healer or a womb healing coaching call or a womb healing program, what I am personally talking about is not that I'm a womb healer. I don't like calling myself a womb healer. I'm saying that you are a womb healer and I'm facilitating that practice for you. Okay, so I'm being clear that every single person that's on this call right now, you girls are the beautiful womb healers. Okay, and I am a womb facilitator. I guide you in the information that I know. Or another term that I use is the womb shaman. Oops. So the shaman, local leaders who perceive the fundamental nature of the universe and see the big picture. This is where that Sagittarius A cosmic womb version comes into play. When who really knows? Like I don't know how many of you knew that the black hole spit us out, and then most people know that we're coming back into her. But like, wait a minute, the black hole created the galaxy in just literally what's considered a split second, like in a split second, and then we spent billions of years of coming back. Yes, that's where that knowing that bigger picture comes from. Knowing how our womb, our small little womb, ant womb, feet is compared to the rest of the multi-universes, okay? So shamans know where to access power and information from nature. A lot of the practice that I do is very connected to Mother Nature. And just, you'll see. I have a whole week just on like the womb healing of Mother Earth throughout this, because giving back to her, when you're going to see how much she gives us during this womb healing practice. I know, Lisa, you know how much we bring in Mother Earth into womb healings. And her and I created a deal. I help women with womb healing, and I can bring in Mother Earth work as long as I also make sure that we're healing Mother Earth's womb. And just like a small tidbit, Mother Earth's womb is her soil. Yeah, our soil is very much depleted. If you haven't seen Kiss the Ground, I'll be a little advocate for that right now. Just, there you go. Watch Kiss the Ground on Netflix and you'll see what I'm talking about. Our soil is constantly being depleted, and it's like 1/3 of what it used to be. And she needs all the help that our feminine, our females can give. So we help her, she helps us. It's all connected. Okay, I'll be talking more about that. So anybody have questions about anything I've mentioned so far? Because I'm about to go into like the program that was birthed through my womb this past week. No. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, cool. So I created this, it's a 9-week program because I wanted to do like a 9-month birthing system, but I also ended up creating a bonus week 10. And that bonus, we'll go in order. Week 1, what is a womb shaman? I'll be talking about more about womb healing, more about womb shaman work. I'll teach you a very basic practice that's called the womb sanctuary practice. That's like one of the very first ones that I teach people. And you could take this womb sanctuary practice. It's kind of like sitting in a cocoon, and you could take it with you everywhere and feel this safe, warming, cosmic womb-like energy with you everywhere you go, whenever you need it. And it's kind of like having a blanket around you all the time. And like if you don't want to take in anybody else's energy and you just need to sit in your own energy, the room sanctuary practice is an amazing practice that you can do in the morning, keep it on, and at night, just turn it off. Okay. So I'll teach you girls that. I'll break down a little bit more about the physical and the spiritual room that was mentioned and how like our men have to do with that and all that jazz. I'll break down the connection between womb and the sacral chakra, which is in the same exact spot that orange energy chakra. I'll break down who to give womb healings to and when, and who not to give it to. Like, for example, when do you give, what kind of womb healings can you give a pregnant woman, and which ones do you not want to give to them because their womb is quite full right now with a baby, right? So there's certain things that you don't want to do. And that's one of the questions, especially if you want to do a womb healing. Are you possibly pregnant? Is there any possibility of you being pregnant? Because it may cause issues, okay? So we don't want to do that. How to support other women will be talked about here. How and when, like as an example, healing like deep sexual trauma work. I've done it online, but the best of it will come in person. And the in-person work, especially for young childhood sexual trauma, should definitely be done in person. You don't want that to be done online, truly. And like finding a way to meet that person or finding somebody that might be closer to them that you trust that has that kind of knowledge is extremely important for that kind of work. Now, online, we can get a lot done, and there could be like it's a like short, like not shorter, it's a longer process, but in little increments. You got to do little increments to get that kind of release compared to like the one that you saw with Jess. We did one big one that first day. It was like a 4-hour in-person womb healing. And then from there, it was so much easier. And it took 4 months to get the rest out compared to having to do little increments. And then, you know, finally they get little releases here and there. So there's different ways to do this. Okay. There's also the womb right, which I will go through in that first week. And this will be like, that's it. When you get the womb right, you are officially part of the womb healing society or womb shaman society, like whatever you want to call it. You are officially can bring in that kind of energetic healing, and you'll start getting all these kind of downloads if you want to. And if you plan to, you can get, and we'll start teaching intuitive womb healing support on, like, I'm going to open up these weeks and I'm going to allow, let's say, a 5-minute womb healing practice, intuitive womb healing practice to come up from any of you throughout the course. Like, who's ready to try out their first womb healing release, like intuitively, and see what happens from it? Okay. So I don't want it to just like, here's a piece of paper, follow it exactly as I tell you. Like, no, I want you to have the gift yourself. And I want you to trust yourself, because everybody has the gift. I want you to trust yourself that you already have the gift. We'll be going through that. And then we'll also, if you're like, I don't know how to do this, I'm all by myself, like, then I'm going to show you some goddesses that are literally here to help with womb healing. Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Ixchel, and so many other goddesses and spiritual guides, whatever you want to call it, angels, aliens, whatever you call it. These are people that are spiritual, 6th-dimensional, 5th-dimensional selves that are here to help with this kind of work. And I have channeled them so many times, and so have other women. Trish is not here, and Mom, are you here? Yes, no, my mom is here. That's where the womb healing work happens. Also, my mom. So my mom actually showed up to one of the womb healings I did in person, and she ended up intuitively doing a womb healing practice after that. And she said that she channeled, I believe, Mother Mary. So that was a really cool experience. So if you're not particularly ready to trust yourself, I'll teach you how to trust a goddess and do that work anyways. All right, week 2, getting to know your womb. So week 1, we'll be going into the do's and the don'ts and all that jazz. But week 2 is getting to like feel, touch, know your womb, the anatomy of it, as well as we'll do your first, what I call like womb emergence, where you see this little water bottle that I was telling you we're going to squish in there? Imagine if you're like right here, and then, hold on, I got to take off the cap so I can do this whole little sample. We're going to put a little version of you right here, and then we're going to go wee, and you're going to be dunked into the water, and then you'll be swimming around in your womb immersion, and you'll get to meet your womb in a visualization, right? So we'll be doing those kind of practices. And then I'll show you how to, if your physical womb right now is extremely full, I'll teach you what other practices to do so that you don't have to put everything in your womb, and you can have like another version of your womb in a physical form. All of these different things will be given to you on week 2. And this one will create such awareness for you, and there'll be womb questions that you're like, oh, I never thought about that, but that must be sitting in my womb. Oh, and then you'll know what to release moving forward. Week 3 will be the support. So this is where the herbs and the yoni steaming and the yoni eggs and the salts and the oils and all of these different things and Mother Earth's gifts will be coming in to support our womb space. And we'll also be talking about more of the different things that I've been talking about, how Mother Earth comes in to help with womb healing and healing that soil that I was talking about. Healing our womb is the exact same thing, and it all connects at the end of the day because Mother Earth is also the feminine being on this planet. We're all connected. And we'll talk a little bit about doula work and birth knowledge and the importance of passing on that information. And even if you've never given birth or not going to give birth, how important it is to have the knowledge so you can continue to pass it on to anyone else that cares to listen and know the difference. For example, did you know that, every movie, have you noticed every movie is like, I'm giving birth. Ah! And they're like screaming with like sweat. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like this. Like, why do you have like, and it's kind of like with sex scenes, like, oh, we're done. Like, it's not like that. Who taught you to do this on movies? The same thing with birth. Like, who taught you it had to be so painful? And we actually have one person, I don't know if she'd want to speak about it, but that had an orgasmic birth, right? So you can have the best orgasm of your life, like while giving birth. Who knew? None of us that only watch movies and never dared to look it up. So we're going to be talking about information like that so that we can have a new view of our womb. Like, if we think our womb is constantly about giving us pain and making us bleed every month and having us have pain during birth, there's a story behind that, right? But if we can realize that our womb can actually give us so much joy and pleasure and orgasmic birth, for that example, then there's a different story that can be created. Week 5, so you can tell this is healing your shit. Okay, that's the little asterisk is an I because there's a lot of shit happening in here that we're going to be releasing. Like number 2, so we have a number 2 of healing a shit. Get it? 1 and 2. My little poop joke. Okay, so there's a lot for healing your shit that's going to happen. And so we have 2 weeks of that, and I'll be going through some like menstruation stuff. I'll be going through a menstrual cycle. There's a beautiful practice that you can, especially for coaching calls, that you can use 2 sisters, so one person and one person, to heal each other's wounds. And it is amazing a practice because if you're healing your own womb, sometimes you don't know where that little the tink is, like where the wheel stopped working, but another sister might not have that experience. So it might be easier for her to heal your womb and you to heal hers. And it's an amazing practice. And we'll be talking about, like, we'll actually be healing your shit literally in your womb. This is where like that beautiful practice of getting rid of all this water and dumping it and getting in there with the scrub is going to be happening. Week 6, we're going to talk about cycles. And this is how I started. And I'm putting it as week 6 because there's more that I've learned since. But I started with learning the menstrual cycles and how we live in a Gregorian calendar way. And that is what we consider time, January through December, and 24-hour cycles. When for 400,000 years, the first way that we ever tracked time was by the Lebombo bone. And I'll teach you more about it. But the Lebombo bone was literally a bone by a monkey, a Lebombo monkey, where women, the first mathematical people ever, the first people to ever create math were women on these Lebombo bones, and they would track the moon cycles and their menstrual cycles. So that was considered the first time. And they would actually put 13 of these Lebombo bones that were tracked every single month, right? Not our month, but the months of the actual moon cycle in the seasons. And they would put 13 of them, 13 moons, put it in a hole, and that would be considered a year for them. So that's a different way to experience time that is different than the way that we experience time on this planet right now. And so we'll be talking about that, on what is the feminine time, the feminine version of time. And this is where, like, we always talk about that we live in a patriarchal society and all these different things. Remember, it's all a patriarchal. Well, I'm not of that. Like, I don't really talk about, like, we'll talk about it, but like, you'll get a different story from me than what you hear from the feminists. Okay. But one of the things that I do understand is that we live in a time period that is a masculine way of looking at time, the 24-hour cycle, where their testosterone is the highest in the morning and then it drops at night and they got to do it all over again by sleep time. Well, women, our hormones change every 28 to 35 days. And we're completely different every single day throughout that period. And if you track it, you can start learning, well, on day 14, I tend to be really horny, but by day 21, I start getting a little more emotional and everything is a problem for me. And you'll start catching on for yourself what that cycle is like. So we'll be talking about that. Even if you don't bleed, I just want to be clear, there's still the moon cycle, and it's a whole other world when you know the cycle of a woman. And Lisa, I know that you've experienced a big shift with cycles. So can you explain a little bit of what it's been like for you for that shift?
Yeah, so yeah, we've been tracking my cycle for I think 7 months now. And yeah, went from a complete not really paying attention, to be honest, to now I've got 4 different personas. Each persona wears her hair different, likes to wear different clothes. One dances in the kitchen, one's an absolute bitch. Just 4 completely different personalities. But one of those personalities is a real go-getter and gets everything done, and loves to very task oriented. And another one is much more creative and really loves to do really anything creative. And of course, then there's one that doesn't want to do anything. And so it becomes about really honoring myself where I am instead of trying to push myself. And then I can see, I use my tracker to track things like migraines and pain and things like that as well. So then I can start to see a pattern that starts to develop. So if I'm in a phase that needs to relax, but I have some task that needs to get done, and so I've been pushing myself anyways, then, oh, look, my pain comes up and my migraine happens. And so I can start to link these things together, which is really quite cool.
Yeah, thank you. So a lot of people are like, why do I get migraines at this time? Like, oh, it's so random. And people are like, women are such a mystery. I'm going to break down that mystery on this week 6. Like, it's not a mystery. Here's what the basis of being a feminine woman is. And this is where, but she was talking about the 4 personas. We have 4 menstrual cycle phases, 4 moon cycle phases, 4 seasons. I messed up the word seasonal here. My apologies. My little Nazi version of myself is coming out right there. All right. So there's 4 versions of us that can be created, and we'll go through that. And then another thing that I'll mention about this week is the 5th vital sign. If you haven't read that book, it's a great book, and it talks about how right next to knowing your heart rate, knowing your body temperature, knowing your period, or especially for women, is like the vital sign to knowing how healthy you are. Depending on how your period is, tells you how healthy you are at the end of the day. So we'll be going through that kind of stuff. And depending on how your womb is, right? So we'll go through that. Week 7, we've already healed your shit. So now we're going to heal your sexual partners, your family, and your friend shit. Right? And then I say, or not, it's your decision. But we'll be going through how to, if it is your decision to. And it's even if, like, let's say you have a partner or somebody around you that is angry, how to help them be the best version of yourself, show up as a divine feminine essence at the end of the day, and stay in your groundedness and being able to help them release that energy. And I have done this a lot. And one of the things that I've noticed is that my partner, let's say he's going through a moment. He goes through a moment. I start realizing, I start doing the womb healing practice where I'm releasing his energy. I'm taking it and releasing it, taking it and releasing it, and helping him through it, staying calm throughout it. he doesn't get angry as much, first off. Now he knows he can come to me for anything, second off. And third off, it takes so much less time for him to go from anger to okay, because I'm helping him release it. So he doesn't have to do it by himself, first off. And then he's also not giving it to me unconsciously. Like a lot of people that are angry, the reason that they're expressing their anger through yelling, as an example, tends to be because there's too much emotion inside. That energy is that can't be bottled up anymore, and it explodes. And then you're like, holy crap, how did I get to that stage? You ever been there? Like, holy crap, I didn't even mean to do that. So when that comes out, you can help someone to not get there by doing womb healing for them. Okay. So it's a beautiful practice, and you'll like, I'll teach you how to know, like, are they giving me their energy right now unconsciously? Okay. Well, that means I can help process it with them. I can help them generate it into something else. So we'll be going through that here. And then not just doing it in the present moment, but how to heal stuff that's in the past that has been there, how to help, like we can officially, when a best friend calls you and you're on the phone with them and they're like, and they're talking about complaining about something, you can help them through that. And you can remember a time when that happened, and you can help process it even now if it still comes up for you. So there's all these different things that are going to come up. And Lisa mentioned the cord cutting womb healing practice that I do, and that's one that comes in here as well. So we'll be going through all that kind of stuff and helping your family out so that everybody just gotta keep doing the work. Week 8, this is where that ancestral work comes in. And this is one of my favorite practices for ancestry work. I talked about mother wounds and grandmother wounds. The reason I have those two up there is because I know my mom needs help and I know my grandmother needs help. So I help them through my different wound healing practices. And you can help heal their wounds at the same time. You can also connect to like great grandmothers if you wanted to, and we'll go to that practice and pretty much, like the tree of life where you'll draw out your ancestors, you'll see that in your womb space, in that womb immersion that we go through, and all kinds of different practices like that. This is an interesting one. I love it when, I don't know if anyone else has experienced this. I don't think I've ever really talked about this, but sometimes when you're almost there at an orgasm, do you girls ever get a memory? Or what, like it feels like you're thinking about something, but this one thought keeps coming up in different times when you're very close to orgasm. Anybody else experience this? All right, thank you for not, I'm turning red here, but thank you for joining me, because I think it's something that, from my understanding, I do it. I've talked to very few people about it, but every single woman, it's like, I do that too. And they'll whisper it because they're like, don't tell anybody. But what if, just gonna put this out there, what if that's a memory? What if that's a past life memory that we're remembering when we're close to that orgasm? It's such a pleasurable moment that we start remembering our old past life or even ancestral pleasurable moments, those high emotions. So we'll be going into some of that and how to go deeper into those memories / emotions / ancestral work. And it's a very interesting practice. So very, very yummy, and can be very joyful, and can really help with your orgasms too. So we'll be going through that kind of stuff. Week 9 is going to be integration work. So technically this is where the program will end for most people. If you don't want to do this with other clients, then this would be your last week. If you want to come in and continue to help with clients, and I have a week 10, that was technically a bonus, so that we can go through a few more practices so that you can support others more. But week 9 is going to be all the work that we've been doing, just like kind of doing a summary version of it all, making sure that like if you missed a class or anything like that, that you have all the information that you need. And then I'll also be teaching you how to integrate the work that we've been doing into your life, how to bring in all that sexual and creative energy that you've been creating and really bringing it out into the world. And we'll be doing different kinds of practices to help the world, to help Mother Earth, help yourself, and help everyone around you. And then we'll open up a Q&A all the time, hopefully, if we have to, but for sure in week 9, any of those last minute questions. And then week 10 is going to be that client one. It's going to be focused on my hope. I want to just create awareness that I have a 40-hour job that I just started, and it causes, it's like there's a lot less time in my life than I had before. And I have a niece that I take care of Monday to Thursday, as well as while I'm working. I have a lot on my plate. Let's just go with that. So we're doing this on a bi-weekly basis. So it says week 10, but technically for the program, it would be week 20, right? So on a bi-weekly basis on Fridays, 3 to 5 p.m. for that. Lisa is in the UK, and it's like 10 p.m. for her, I think. So thank you for being up. So we're creating space for all of us to be able to hopefully make it at this time. And during week 10, my hope is that I can create a manual for you girls and be able to all the practices that I go through, especially with my clients for the next 20 weeks, I'm going to be writing down, what am I doing throughout this practice that I do with all my other clients? And I'll be writing them down, and I want to give them to you girls. Now, I hope to give it to you little by little. For every week, I want to give you a little more. But by week 10, that gives me 20 weeks to create this beautiful manual for you girls, so that if someone has an abortion, okay, let me go through the manual and find out an abortion practice. Okay, there you go. This one will help with that. Okay, so let me see if I can do this for her. I create an intuitive way to bring this up for her, that one person. Someone's having infertility. Okay, let me go through the manual. Someone's had a stillbirth. Okay, let me go through the manual. Someone has sexual. Okay, then you go through the manual. Someone just can't orgasm. Let me go through the manual. So I don't know how much I'll be able to make in 20 weeks, but I hope that this is a practice that I can continue to give you girls to. So if I can't make it in the 20-week period, we'll go through whatever I can make during this period. And bear with me, because I'll probably end up creating some kind of like group, like on a WhatsApp or on our Mighty Networks platform that we use, so that we can keep in contact with each other and like, hey, I did this practice, I'm going to share it with you girls. And I'll keep sharing the different practices that I have and keep creating throughout that platform. So that is my hope and my goal. Future add-ons. So there's all kinds of other stuff that I know and that I cannot put in 9-week periods. And this is what's going to be considered level 1. Other things that I want to teach. And if any of you by the end of the program is like, I really want to learn that, then I'll think about creating that second version and maybe even add-on versions of the program. So like, maybe if you want to learn more about that orgasmic birth or free births, or if you want to learn more womb magic, like how to bring in your womb into spell work and rituals, we can definitely do that. If you girls are like, the one thing I want is healing sexual trauma, I will find a way to teach you girls and practice like in-person stuff, like I will find a way, right? Then there's tantric practices, which I know Kim and Cassandra can now help with, and all these different yoni healing practices, the yoni healing, the yoni mapping, that would definitely be part of level 2. Yeah. So we'll definitely go in that kind of stuff. So there's all kinds of more stuff. And I do one of the big things that helped me is when I started doing this menstrual cycle work, and when I started doing womb healing work in general, my business exploded. Like I went from making $3K a month for my business to making $10K a month when I started that. And it was absolutely amazing. And the only real difference was I added a feminine base to my business, and my relationship has forever shifted. And like he went from like, I don't know if I could marry, to like totally marrying you moment. And it was awesome. And finding the love of my life from like not knowing who the heck it would be to like first day he met me, like, I'm gonna marry you. And it's like, oh shit, did I just say that? So it was really cool to experience the changes. And I'm quite certain that it will support you girls too. So these are different add-ons that I'd like to create that are not in the program, but if you ask me, then we can figure something out. So I mentioned 9 weeks, I mentioned the 10th week, level 1 connection, support sister. Since this is going to be a bi-weekly program, there will be support sisters so that you girls can communicate and practice different womb healings and check in with you girls. And hopefully I plan on giving you girls more practices to try on for yourselves and then tell me how it went. There will be womb healings on yourself, and you can practice on your loved ones and other people along the way. And like, okay, this is how it went for me, all that jazz. There will be a lot of womb healing done in general. Intuitive womb healing throughout the course. I mentioned that earlier, that I'm going to allow different women to lead different practices. If you have any clients and, hey, I want to do this womb healing, and we can practice right throughout the call, which will be very supportive. It's a 5-month program, bi-weekly classes, 3 to 5 p.m. The next class is going to be May 27th. Okay, so that's going to be officially week 1, May 27th. Okay, just want to create awareness on that, and I'll mention it again. Throughout it, if any of you girls, like we go through week 1 or week 2 or any of these practices and you want a deeper womb healing, or maybe I couldn't get to something because our time period was up, but you're like, I really wanted to know about that. Like I didn't want to just read about it. I wanted to know, I wanted to experience it. I'm going to be giving 50% off for my womb healing one-on-ones so that we can do that. And if there needs to be a group healing, like I want another one, can we just put this one practice? We'll figure something out. I'm very open to anything that will support you girls. Okay, I'm all about supporting and serving you girls. So anything that will help. So we'll make that happen. I messed up another one. Possibility of a deepening facilitator calls after the program. If you girls become facilitators and you start getting clients for womb healings and you want the possibility to go deeper or ask me questions along the way, we can make that happen. Talk to me, we'll make it happen. I did mention that we'll create like a Mighty Networks or a Signal. We have a Signal group right now, so I don't think, Cassandra, that you're in it, but if anybody by any chance could go in and get that group link and post it in the chat for me right now, that would be amazing. But I'll send it to her no matter what. Otherwise, I think we have one more person that is it in Tatiana that isn't in that yet. Oh, and Jody. So we have 3 people. So if someone can post that link for me, that would be amazing. And many others. So that is the program itself. Any questions so far on the program? I'll be going through prices next, but just want to check in that like there's no confusions, you totally understand what's going on, and you like what you see. Yes.
Hi. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Tatiana, go first.
Okay. So hi.
Hi.
My question is, I am going to be out of country for June 10 and June 24 session. And if I miss a session, would it be possible for me? Are you going to record those? Is
Yes.
it possible to catch up? Okay.
Yeah, I will definitely record them, and I will be giving out the PowerPoints even, and like we'll see about giving out PowerPoints, or I might create PDF versions to make it easier for you girls to print and put them in binders and so on and so forth. But yes, that is my plan. What do you do, Tatiana, out of curiosity?
Oh, what do you, you mean for professionally?
Yeah, and how'd you hear about this?
I am a career coach, and yeah, so the reason I'm here is because I have, I don't even know how to talk about it, but I have a gift.
Ooh.
And I found it recently, and it's connected to the female energy. And I was told to work with female shamans. And I actually went to a male shaman, and he told me that I can only work with women and I can only learn from women. So that's why I'm here.
Wow, very interesting. How do you hear about this call?
I think through Signal, through Adam and Claudia group.
Oh, okay.
Through Red Tent, yeah. So via Adam and Claudia, I came to Red Tent, and that's
Nice.
I saw this message on a Red Tent, and when you're looking for something, you're being bombarded with possibilities, right? So I'm getting various calls, so to speak, but I kind of learned how to listen to myself and to weed out those I don't need and get those that I do need. And I feel that I was very skeptical about this whole thing, to be honest with you, but I'm very skeptical about everything. So that's my second name. So, but as you know, as you explained stuff, as I looked at the slides, it kind of makes sense. And it makes sense. It's just, for me, it's difficult to dig it out from myself first. So, yeah.
No, you also came in a little late, right? So
yes,
where did you come in?
When I think about, yes, I sent a message on Red Tent that I'll be late. So I think I came in at 3:30.
Well, like where in the PowerPoint do you remember? I'm wondering if I'm going to see if anybody else can kind of summarize it for you and let them practice being the teacher for a second, seeing what they've learned, and maybe you can get a little summary.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I think that I came rather early on, so I think I got the major, yeah. I got the
Cool.
gist of it, definitely. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm happy to hear that. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cassandra, you had a question too?
Yeah, kind of a twofold question. So I have 3 daughters and 4 granddaughters. And actually my 4th granddaughter is coming in June and I get to watch the birth and be there as my daughter is giving birth.
Yay!
Oh, excited.
Oh,
So my question is, my daughters, 2 of them have dealt with sexual abuse. They hold on a lot of masculine energy because mom emulated that through them growing up. The when it comes to healing our ancestors, I always hear about healing the ancestors, and I don't know if this is a stupid question, but it's just one that I've never asked before.
mhm.
Is this able to be done on the downward lineage?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you start getting into the practice, what you're going to hear a lot is that through womb healing work, what tends to happen is you heal at least 7 generations before and 7 generations after. So
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and hopefully with these practices, the slides, hold on. So we have this one for family and friends. This one
Mhm.
will be very supportive for that, as well as we'll be going, okay, yeah, it'll mainly be this one because this one will be for the past, the present, and we can even do some future work. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but we can kind of
Yeah.
like okay, so right now it's pest season. I'm a gardener, so don't mind my little gardening metaphors. I'm a gardener, and right now it's about to become pest season. So what we tend to do is we start preparing with putting neem oil on the soil and preparing for that no pests come early. Does that make sense? So that
Mhm.
no pests even know about it. So there's certain herbs that you can put, like oregano, that you can put next to cherry tomatoes. And if you do that, then aphids, those kinds of pests, tend to avoid those cherry tomatoes. So we're going to do things similar throughout the womb healing program. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
if you know that everybody is sick in a room, you're going to take a bunch of vitamin C's beforehand so
Mhm.
that you can boost your immune system. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So does that answer those questions?
That totally does, because I'm 8 years sober and I know that healing has healed my children without them having to be active participants in the healing.
Oh, yeah.
So I totally subscribe to that and understand that. So my second question is, can men take this course?
Huh. Yeah. Huh.
It'd be my fiance particularly.
Okay. Well, everybody else is on this call. Are you girls okay? Because there will be a lot of conversations that may come up. Are you okay, first off, with your husband hearing different women's experiences and maybe talking about sex and orgasms, different conversations like that?
Oh,
And are you girls okay with a man being involved? Mhm.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I want to say yes because I feel like I should be open to it, but I'm getting a no.
Okay.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
I totally
I'm
understand
getting a
that.
no. I'm getting a
Okay.
no too, and it's only because of that safe space that we can hold with women, and there's a lot of very vulnerable high makeup, right? Emotions that are underneath,
Yeah.
and maybe you could create a program
Mm-hmm.
for men where women involved. I don't know. I feel like men do get to be, exposed to this material.
Oh, yeah.
But this first iteration in this group just feels like feminine. That's just what I'm
Okay.
getting.
I have
But
to
great
agree with that.
question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you for that.
One thing that we can do is, those one-on-ones that I'll be giving 50% off to clients. We could do one of those with your husband, maybe, or your fiance. And then one of the practices that it's called a womb bowl practice. So, this little womb bowl that I was showing you earlier, these little womb bowls, right? I can guide men into having a physical little womb bowl, and then they don't have to constantly be giving it to you. Does that make sense? So I can guide you through that practice, and that is very supportive to men. My husband loves it, and I have coaching clients that have all boys, and they all have a little womb bowl on the altar, and they like put a little energy in it, and it's so cute. Like little 5-year-olds are like, "Ooh," like they're angry and they're putting in a little womb bowl. It's so cute. So it can definitely be supportive to men, and then it doesn't have to all be on you. Very good. Yeah. Does that work for you? Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you for asking. Any other questions? So I think we're good. All right. I'm officially going into prices. So I want to mention again that I'm a busy woman and I really sat and I did like a womb thing where I was like, okay, what feels good to me right now with this 5-month program, biweekly, trying to make this happen because this was called into it. I wish this came up 5 months ago because it would have been so much easier. But of course, the universe doesn't work like that. She gives you opportunity after opportunity in like increments of time. So, all right, so we're gonna make this happen. So this is what feels good to me in a 5-month program. I'm willing to give payment plans, and I put 3 different prices up because I want every single one of you to be able to do this. So if you're like financially stable and you're like, I could totally do this and I'm happy to provide support and like put my all into this, and you feel like giving $777 or $155.40 for 5 months is going to be worth it to you, please feel free. If you're like, I don't know about paying $777, then maybe $133 feels better for you, or $155, maybe $133. And that is, if I was to sell this as a DIY course, I would sell this for $669. So I wanted to put that price range in the middle. And then for anybody that needs financial support, I am willing to do $111 or $555. And I also, if I am not okay with not allowing someone to come into this. I think everybody gets to learn at least this level 1 womb healing practice. So I don't want to say no to anybody. But at the same time, because of where I am in my life, and I'm a very busy woman, and I'm going to be putting in a lot. I work 9-hour days, and then that's it. Like I have to cook afterwards, and I have Monday through Thursday, I have a child that I take care of. That's my niece. And I have all these different things going on. And I'm now going to have to sit there, go through all my books, all my research, think about my practices and actually put them on pieces of paper for you girls and do all these different things. It's going to take a lot of energy from me. So I need at least 5 people right now for this to feel comfortable for me to be able to move forward with this program. And then from there, from these prices, and then from there, if some of you are like, I can't do that, I really want to come, it would mean the world to me if I can have some kind of scholarship program, like I'm totally willing to make that happen. But if everybody's on scholarships, that right now in my life isn't going to work for me. Now, the other thing is, this is a project that I really want to do. And I'm willing to, like, if you girls can't make this happen and this doesn't feel good to you, I'm also willing to relook at this or try to plan this out in a few months when I'm a little bit more secure. Maybe I have a little extra time in my hands. I don't know how long I need to take care of my niece for Monday through Thursday or any of that stuff, then we could relook at this. So that's where I'm at right now. And I hope that feels good to you girls. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm in, yay, I got one. So I do have these payment plans. I'm gonna have to stop sharing, and then I could put these payment plans online right now for you girls to look at. And we'll go from there. Let me get that for you. And then I also have Venmo or Cash App, so I'm also willing to make that happen. All right, there you go. The 3 payment plans are online. For any of the recording girls, I'll make sure to put it in the recording for you, or you girls, I'll make a page for it. And at the same time, if you get the recording somehow sent to you and you don't have these, feel free to message me or find a way to contact me or by the person that sent those to you. And any questions or concerns? If you feel like you're one of those that may need those financial supports, then feel free to message me separately. I think everybody here has Signal, but I'll put my phone number too for anybody that wants to message me personally and talk about other options. I'm not, right now, I'm not okay with like trades. I know many people tend to ask me about trades. I'm not there right now. That's not how I'm feeling about this particular program. But feel free to reach out with whatever you think, and I can relook at it. I'm gonna pause the recording unless there's a question that comes up.
Okay.
I'll press play and then like whatever else comes out. That was good stuff.
Yeah, so I just, so I'm already seeing Tantra clients, and the womb healing work is taking it another step further or in another direction, or really weaving together the two. And it's just going to help really support women in another way and in a deeper way, and maybe through another lens. So it's just another modality that I can add to my toolbox to help support the people already in my life. So I'm really excited. And I'm also really wanting to connect with my mom. She's got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and she's really like not connected to this work at all. And it's so funny because her other daughter, my half sister, she was a doula. She got totally into like 20 years ago. I mean, she's like 20 years older than me, and she was totally into like crystals and goddesses and like all of this stuff forever ago. And I said to my mom, like in the last 6 months, I said, do we have any witches in our family? Because like I'm doing these stuff, and like my sister did this stuff like a long time ago that I'm aware of, but like my mom is sort of disconnected. But I'm like, there's got to be something. There's a reason that it's showing up for me and it showed up for her. And first my mom was like, no. And then she came back around the next day and she was like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, well, you believe in like medicine and the medical field, because that's what she worked in. And you know, I said, but she believes in it in a holistic way. So bringing, you know, herb, like the medicine women, those were witches. And she was like, oh, and I was like, okay, it's the language that's hooking you. So yeah, I'm feeling like it's maybe a way that I can help connect to my mom in a new way, that, you know, all of this has been alive for me in the last year, in this blossoming into feminine. And I'm like, I want to reach for my mom and I don't know how yet.
Amazing. Well, it's just, I don't know if you know, but you know, my mom's in Red Tent. Yeah. So, we don't really say this often, but my mom's cool with me sharing this. When I first told my mom that I was a witch, her response was like, oh my God, like what happened? Like we were a Christian. Like I taught you how to be Christian. It was this whole thing, right? And then like I had her open up her mind, and she's like totally in this work as much as I am, if not more, I would say sometimes. And she's teaching goddess work, and so it's totally possible. Right. So thank you. And I love doing mother-daughter healing because we were able to do it, you know, so perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited. Yay. Beautiful. All right. Any other little comments or concerns, or is there questions, or can I officially close the recording for the day? All right, cool. All right, recording girls, you are loved, you are appreciated. I hope you see the amazingness that this will be, and it looks like it's gonna happen. So I'm excited, yay. And I will also, thank you, recording girls.